Hi, it's Paul with Bitonto Pizza, and today I have the special pleasure of sitting with Renato Riccio, a famous and legendary maker of pizza ovens. We're going to talk a little bit about what goes into a good pizza oven, but first of all, let me just introduce Renato.
Hello.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how that led to you making ovens? What got you into
Forza
it?
Italia, European champions. Anyway, so I came in the United States Thanksgiving Day in 1967 because of on my mother's side, my whole family, grandmother and a truckload of uncle and aunts were already in the United States since the turn of the century. And I landed in New York. After about a year over there, I really wanted to see America. And I had a soft spot for Texas. And I really liked Dallas. But I did notice that there was no pizza in Dallas. The only pizza was, I think it was one called Shotgun Sam or Shakey's Pizza. And they would have a dough they would cut with a number 10 can. And then they would spread the paste sauce with a 6-inch brush. And I said, oh my God, I think I'm gonna start making pizza in Dallas, Texas. So I opened up a little pizza shop downtown Dallas in 1969. My financial resources were minimal at the time. So I built my own oven and I started from there, selling pizza by the slice New York style. And one thing led to another. And then all of a sudden I was making more money building pizza oven on weekends than selling pizza by the slice at 35 cents a slice. And I hired people that helped me put the mold and patterns together, and I was in the brick oven business. And I got a call from Mr. Romano, and he said, I'm doing a restaurant in Leon Spring, Texas called Romano Macaroni Grill. And we would like one of the Renato ovens. And then immediately, I mean, just in a matter of months, Brinker International bought the concept from Phil Romano, and they started building Romano's Macaroni Grill all over the country. And all of a sudden, I was building as many as one oven a day. So I put all this thing together, and I put in the wood burning, gas burning, infrared burning, and a second opening for high volume. They could have one pizza man or two making the pizza, making it up on the side of the oven or on the back of the oven, and have the expediter in the front. His only job was to turn the pizza, cook them, and take them out. We have there is in operation a Renato oven in every continent of this earth, except for one,
Antarctica,
which is not allowed. It's a scientific island. From Alaska to the Terra del Fuego, from Russia, all the way down to Tasmania in Australia, you will find them in Africa. But you know, people that actually talk to on their national TV show like Jimmy Kimmel, here, and Chris Bianco Pizzeria in Phoenix, as they were doing some cooking demonstration, he will say, well, we are using a Renato oven, so I don't know I can mention his name. Yeah, the smallest oven that I made that weighed about 3,000 pounds, a ton and a half. It was a 3-foot oven on the outside, and the cooking surface about 25 inches, more or less. The time you put in the wood pile, you start the fire in the center, then when you went to a pin coal, you would shove it all the way to the back. You would put in, and again, I'm going to tell you why, only one pizza at a time, even for me that do this for a living, is because when you have like a 25-inch cooking surface, where 8 to 10 inches is used by the wood pile or the pin coals or the wood burning, when you slide in the pizza, the edge of the pizza that is close to the fire is in a very close proximity, and no matter what kind of dough you put in there, after 10 or 15 seconds, I mean, that side is gonna cook a lot quicker than the side facing the door. So basically, even if you're a very, very good, very fast pizza man, you slide the pizza oven in a small oven, and you actually have to stay there, and after 10 seconds, 15 seconds, you gotta start spinning around, because the fire in such a proximity of the dough and the sauce, you will burn everything. All my ovens were, the dome was not in one piece, and this allowed the oven not to fall apart. Just a little incident, I believe it was 19 86 or 87 when they had the terrible earthquake in San Francisco. And I already had in San Francisco about a couple dozen ovens at the time. And none of them was damaged because another thing that I did, not also I made the oven heavy duty with interchangeable and movable parts inside, but also put it on wheels. So all my ovens, the bottom is a caster. So when the earthquake came, the oven moved out, busted the wall, but it was there.
What are really the first principles of a pizza oven?
Well, the brick pizza oven came out of a concept that instead of cooking the pizza like you would do in a regular oven, where the heat comes from the bottom of the oven, heats up whatever surface you're cooking, being a stone or a pan or a screen or whatever, and then residual air temperature cooks the top of the pizza or the bread or whatever. The brick pizza oven concept was a little bit different. In other words, the source of the heat, until I invented the infrared,
Right.
the source of the original pizza oven, the source of the heat only comes from the top, and you cook the pizza from the top down. The reason for that is because the traditional Italian Napolitan pizza only stayed in the oven maybe 2 minutes. So therefore, you need almost like a broiling effect. In fact, if you see some of the Napolitan pizza, original Napolitan pizza, you cannot slice and pick it up. You really have to eat it with a knife and the fork because the crust is not the protagonist or the main character in the pizza.
Right.
It's the combination of the San Marzano tomato, the buffalo mozzarella, the fior di latte, the cow milk mozzarella, and the fresh basil. But in a home, once you are able to heat up the chamber or the oven dome and the floor where you cook the pizza, which you really should have good stones. The one that I really highly recommended that's also approved by the Food and Drug Administration is called cordiorite, also known as a pizza stone that you can see in many gourmet shops. Basically, there is no mystery to it. You know, you need at least to do a decent Italian-style pizza or a hybrid New York, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Texas pizza. You need at least the temperature about 600 degrees.
If you're doing a Neapolitan-style pizza, what do you say?
Then you have to go a little bit higher, maybe 750, 800 degree range, depending. I mean, you gotta know what you're doing because the pizza doesn't have a good solid foundation. It's kind of malleable. You can adjust it and move it, slide it in the oven. And you really want to cook it real fast because at 900 degrees, 900 degrees, more than a minute and a half, I mean, you burn everything.
Right.
That's a type of cooking with the brick pizza oven that you cannot do with any other oven. And if you cook at a lower temperature and you try to do a Napolitan pizza in a regular oven, not a brick pizza oven, it would take you so long. The tomato sauce would hydrate, the cheese would burn. I mean, it would be a complete disaster.
Yeah. What would you look for? What would you really pay attention to in terms of the way the oven was constructed or the size or even the fuel?
But if a person has a budget, you know, a few thousands of dollars, then I would use for the most important thing is that the weight, in other words, that the oven is solid enough where the outside surface is not pose any dangers to children that you can touch. Safety, and then in my case, since I know my business, I would make sure that the mouth of the oven is not extremely large in relationship to the circumference. 75 centimeters or 25-inch ovens, I would use maybe 9-inch opening on the door, 10 at the top, 11 inches high, which 11.5 inches high, which is my standard measure. And the dome, that would be, again, you know, around the 11.5 inch size. Now, if a customer in a residential area would like to do other things beside pizza in the oven, for instance, bread, crusty bread, then if I would be in that predicament where I also like to make a lot of bread or roast or cook a turkey in there, then I would use for a pizza oven where the dome is a little higher, as much as maybe even 20 inches. I don't think it's necessary to go into anything besides wood and or gas alone, because it's efficient, it's effective. However, what the wood does, especially if you learn to use aromatic type woods like pecan, mesquite, oak, red and white, you get that particular subtle flavor that you cannot duplicate it with gas alone. When wood burns, even high temperature, burns with a high degree of vapor and moisture. And especially the Napolitan pizza, when you take it out of the oven, it's not a piece of cracker. It still has a lot of moisture. The combustion of the wood is much more wet than the dry combustion of electrical and or gas. If you put in cheap ingredients, life is too short to eat cheap pizza or drink cheap wine, then you're gonna get a substandard. I don't care what kind of, you can't put regular gas in a Ferrari. You gotta use premium gas.
Yeah, it's some of those small techniques that make a big difference, I think.
Let me give you some example. The most important thing before you cook a pizza it's a French word called mise en place. In other words, all your
put in its place. Yeah.
You have to have in your head a clear picture of what the finished product is going to look like, which ingredients you're going to use, and everything has to be at arm length, at the reach of your hands. And I tell the customer, no matter what type of pizza do, your time allowed to do the pizza and slide it in the oven is 1 minute. Because if you take more than 1 minute, chances are the dough will stick to the pizza panel or to the counter, and then you gotta be real knowledgeable of what to do in case that happens, which it can happen.
Yeah.
So that come in with two techniques. If the pizza sticks to the pedal, because you don't want to go in the oven and slide the pizza in the oven, the cheese and the sauce goes in the oven,
mess, right?
and the dough stays on the pedal. So one of the techniques that I use, I usually have a cheese string on the side of my pants, like a string.
Okay. Yeah, for cutting cheese.
From cutting cheese. And if the dough is stuck, so I take the string and I go like this, and a little flour like this, and I separate again. Then I move it out of place, put a little more flour or cornmeal in the pizza pedal, and then immediately slide it in the oven. Another way that I do is called the Italian kiss. It's assumed that this is my phone is the pizza pedal, and this is the pizza and the thing in my stock. I do the Italian kiss. I bring it close to my lips and I go.
Right.
And I blow underneath, and it sort of make an air cushion, and then immediately in the oven. You never clean the oven or you touch the ashes until the next day.
Right.
Or the 2 or 3 days, when for sure everything is cool off.
Renato, thanks very much. It's a pleasure to speak
pleasure.
to you.
My
And
pleasure.
buona fortuna
Grazie.
per il resto e speriamo che piaccia questo video al mondo.
La cosa più bella, the best thing to remember, that's been the motto in my life. If I cannot afford it, I don't need it. But life is too short to eat cheap pizza and cheap wine, drink cheap wine. It's too short.
All right. Priority set by Renato Riccio. Thanks very much.
Prego.
Grazie.